Welcome to the Up Arrow Podcast with William Harris, featuring top business leaders sharing strategies and resources to get to the next level. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hey everyone, I'm William Harris. I'm the founder and CEO of Element and the host of the Up Arrow Podcast, where I feature the best minds in e-commerce to help you scale from 10 million to 100 million and beyond as you up arrow your business and your personal life. Most entrepreneurs dream of building a business. Al Doan built a town. He's the co-founder of Missouri Star Quilt Company. What started as a small family shop in rural Hamilton, Missouri, turned into a 9-figure e-commerce empire. Along the way, Al and his family didn't just sell fabric. They turned their tiny town into the Disneyland of quilting. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I'm going to call it the Disneyland. Maybe we should.
Forbes called it that.
Okay, then I guess we can. 14 quilt shops, restaurants, a hotel, and a pilgrimage site that quilters travel from all over the world to experience. It's part growth story, part love letter to community, and part absurd hack that makes you wonder, could other D2C brands do the same? What would it look like if Athletic Greens built a wellness village, or Hexclad created a chef's playground, or Good Wipes? Well, I don't know. We'll let Al weigh in on that one. Beyond the quilting empire, though, Alan is a founder, investor, pickup basketball legend, and the guy behind the Dr. Bill and I handle you've probably seen online. He's here today to share not just how he scaled an e-commerce brand from 0 to 100 million, but also what he's learned about leadership, community, and thinking way bigger than just paid ads and funnels. So grab your headphones. Let's dig into some good stuff. Al, welcome to the Up Arrow Podcast.
William Harris, what an intro, man. You're like the Jason Kelsey of business podcasts. I feel
I do what I can.
Ooh, that was hot.
Yeah,
We're
man.
here.
All right. Well, this is good. Let's make sure the content matches, and I'm sure it will. I do want to give a shout out, though, to Mark Friedman, one of the smartest e-commerce strategists in the business, a good friend. Mark is the one who initially put us in touch. He's like, hey, you got to talk to this guy, Al. Thank you, Mark, for
he's a
for
good guy.
Yeah.
I like that guy.
Yeah, me too. Last interruption, then we'll dig into the good stuff. This episode is brought to you by Element. Element is the award-winning advertising agency optimizing e-commerce campaigns around profit. It is my business.
You get brought to you by me? All right.
Element pays for this. I'm not paying for it out of my own pocket. All right, we're skipping it. All right, let's cut to the chase.
I mean, we're brought to you by Element. Guys, listen, if you need an agency, William's very busy, and I don't know that he'd even take you on as a client. You're probably not good enough. But if you want to try, why don't you give him a call? He's a great guy. He'll take care of you.
You're doing the ad reads from now on. Okay. Because I have to cut right into this one because this is the wildest growth hack that I've ever heard. You bought a town.
Yeah.
What?
No, so early on in our business, we were in a tiny town, like 1,500 people, an hour north of Kansas City. And so we opened up a quilt shop, and we're, in America, there's about 3,000 quilt shops, so we're 3,001. And why does anybody care that we exist? And we're in a town that doesn't have a lot of traffic. I mean, if you could imagine a 1,000 person town, there's like a gas station and a Subway sandwich shop. That's it. Not a lot going on here, and not a lot of reason to stop. So we opened it up thinking we'd just service our local area, and then we built. My big idea in the beginning was like, all right, we built a website. We put together a quilter's daily deal, like a Woot.com, steep and cheap, something like that was our shtick. So we had a little online persona that we were building. And in the beginning, I was very passionate about like my emails. I didn't want to spam anybody. I wanted good quality emails. So I was once a week, I'd send you this great email packed with all the good content. We started making YouTube videos, and that was great. But then most of what we'd talk about was just what was going on in the local quilt shop. And everybody sort of loved this local vibe of we're just humans doing our thing in a little quilt shop out here. And so as we bought an old antique showroom, or it was an old auto showroom that then was an antique shop that then we bought and turned into our first quilt shop. And you just sort of document the story of like, here we are, we're doing this. Oh my gosh, we have this going on, and we're buying some more fabric, and we're doing a little of this, and we're doing a thing here. And then we were like a block off Main Street, and then somebody was selling their Main Street building, and we bought it and sort of told that process. And it ended up being most of the content that we were making was like, here we are we're back in the store today, digging out this asbestos tile with our teeth and just, putting it in my pants to take home with me. And then the insulation's coming down, and here, imagine what this wall is going to be. We're going to do this. And so there's a lot that we could take our audience on a journey with us. We finished that main store and then looked around, and like we had our weekly content of tutorials and teaching you what to do with stuff. But like, it's such a juggernaut, this like, what are we doing day to day? And it saved us from having to like put our kids on there, make our families a very public family. It's like, no, the business is doing things that's interesting. And so we're going to keep talking about what the business is doing, but it's us that's doing the stuff in the business. So then we bought another building because the problem I had with our little quilt shop was I didn't want people to drive, a couple hours and come to see us in Hamilton, Missouri. Open the door and walk in. And in most quilt shops in a small town, you're going to walk in. It's just some lady sitting doing a crossword puzzle. It's like, let me know if I can help you. And you kind of, you're just moving along. And I wanted some energy and real enthusiasm as you walked in, so you'd feel excited to be there. And like we were excited to see you. And so we didn't have a warehouse. We did all of our fulfillment out of the stores. And so you'd buy a yard of fabric, and it was our shop team that would go and pull that fabric and cut a yard of it and wrap it up, put it in a bag, and get ready to ship. Well, so then we filled our store with fabric, and we needed more space. And so we bought another downtown building, and I built this little bit of software that sort of split the orders. So the fabric that had these numbers would go here, and that was this genre would go over to this other one. And so you'd come to town, man, and we had a lot more online than we did in store, which is still true to this day by a dramatic margin.
Sure.
And but you'd come to town, and like people were busy. They were doing stuff. Hey, how are you? Let me know if I can help you. But then everybody's buzzing around doing a thing, and you're like, what is this place? And so then we had 2 stores going, and I had this random thought where I was like, man, who gets to say that they have the most quilt shops of any town in the world? Somebody's got to have it. What is that? And like that little banner was enough that I was like, man, if I put that on a billboard, I bet people would stop and come check it out. I want to say we're the most quilt shops of any town in the world. And so, the best I could find, it was like 4, quilt shops, some town over in Germany or something. And so we just like, all right, we're going to try and get like 5 or 6 shops doing exactly this. And we did it sort of like fairway games at like an amusement park. And so you have one person that can service a couple. I got that idea from Wall Drugs up in South Dakota. If you've ever driven,
that's exactly what I'm picturing. And you've got all
it's great. And a ton of billboards, and you stop there, and they have like store on store on store on store. But it's just like they're all kind of connected, and you can go check out anywhere and move around in there. And so we built these themed experiences for like in our world, in the quilting world, there are all these very focused niches that you'd never find a store that's like just a boutique store, right? Where it's like island type fabrics. That would be a small section of a bigger quilt shop because you want to have enough for everybody that comes in. Well, we got to build this dedicated boutique shop, and a dedicated kids shop, and a dedicated Civil War era fabric shop, and a dedicated floral, and like we have all these shops. So if that's your jam, if you love Thanksgiving, bro, wait till you see this shop that's built just for you, and you're going to walk in there and you're like, oh, they get me. I'm home. This is the greatest thing. Well, so in the process of doing this, we sort of realized that we made this Quilt Town USA sort of moment. And so we have 16 stores that are all themed differently. It literally is it's like an amusement park for 40 to 70-year-old women. Is most of our demographic, and so we have 16 stores. We've got a retreat center where you can sleep and have events, and like they call them retreats.
That's great.
So it's you and 40 of your closest girlfriends. You get
so
together and you just party, and it's like a couple of days. No, I mean we do 70 of these a year, 3-day events, one after another, and they just come and they sew, and like. It's funny, man, because I have these 3 pillars in any business that I work on where it's like you got to have an angle for each of these, and it's content, commerce, and community. And so like for us, our angle on commerce was like the daily deal, and we had a wide selection. We had a couple good answers for like what's our angle with this. We had a couple good angles for content where it was like, all right, we got the town stuff, we got our tutorials, we got these emails, we got we know how to do good content. And the community piece, like how do we make people feel a part of this? And so part of that is like Facebook groups. We started a forum that's one of the biggest quilting forums, and we did some stuff. But really our community is when you come to town, this is your Comic-Con, right? At home, your kids are like, Mom, you're a hoarder. You've got a basement full of fabric. You're never going to make it. Like, you're weird. And you come here and you're an artist and you're a collector and you're a connoisseur of great fabric and you've got taste and style and all that. Like, you're normal, where Comic-Con's the same thing. At home, you're a weirdo and you need to get a job. You go to Comic-Con and all of a sudden your people surround you and say, you are cool, you general of the, video game Halo. I can't believe you have this all done up. You're amazing. And you go out of that environment and you're back to being weird. And so you love to be there because these people get you. And so we try and create these moments and happenstance places where if you come to town alone, you leave with friends. And it's been this great piece of what we've built. And it's funny because when you're a hammer, everything's a nail. My hammer for sure has become, bro, you should build a town. It's surprisingly cheap. We couldn't do this in Manhattan, but you go find a town that needs a little bit of an identity and a rebirth. And now you're like, great, we're just going to fill all these empty commerce spots. And the town loves it because they get all the tax revenue and there's a reason for people to come by and visit, and like the grocery store sells more. Everybody's business is better because we're doing our thing. But like the challenge is we just had to like decide to go do it. And just like Disneyland, Walt Disney, he can't just build Splash Mountain and be like, you guys got to have a vision. When I get the rest of this in here, it's going to be awesome. Wait till you come back. I'm going to pave these trails and it's going to look nice. No, you got to build the whole thing. And you sort of have to suspend disbelief and like not judge yourself until you get enough there that you say, here's a reason to come to my town. And so we definitely did that. Our version of that was like 12 shops. We had like 12 shops get done. Probably closer to 6 or 7 people started to really get it and get excited. And then, your restaurants have, we've got little quilting themed items that we'll get these guys put in there. And our bakery has a quilt shaped cookie, like everybody sort of gets on board with it. And now we've got an identity. We've got there's a reason for people to know Hamilton, Missouri now. And it's awesome.
You said the town loves it, and to a point, like once they understand it, they love it. But how do you convince the town that this is the right idea? That you're like, hey, we're going to be the quilting town. Everything else that you've ever been known for, we're putting it away. I'll
put an asterisk on this. The town loves it mostly.
Okay.
Because change is the thief of identity, right? And our town, like I can tell our story of the town, is the birthplace of J.C. Penney. And if you've got nothing else going on here, you talk about, we've got J.C. Penney. He didn't start a store here. He didn't do anything. He doesn't care about him. But they've got 2 statues of him in town now, and they've got a museum dedicated to him. And I'm like, the problem is nobody's ever Googled who's the founder of that failed business, J.C. Penney. I want to go. Sure. I don't want to go to his first store. I want to go to where he was born and visit that house that sits in the town square and compromises the whole city park. That's what I want to do. I've never Googled who started Montgomery Ward and tried to like go visit his boyhood home. But for the town, this was their thing. It's the J.C. Penney High School. It's the J.C. Penney Museum. It's the J.C. Penney Days Festival. Like, they just love this guy who could have cared less about them. I think totally. I mean, he might have given $50,000 over his life to this place, but they don't care about us at all. They've never paved a street here. And but because he was all they had for so long, that was the thing. And agriculture, it's a big farming community. So now we come in and we say, hey, we're quilting, and there's a lot of old timers that are like, nah, you weirdos, bunch of wieners, and like, so if I was waiting for permission, they would never give it to me, right? Like literally with a small town, it's like, I'm gonna get your permits. We're gonna do all the thing, but like, I'm just gonna build whatever I want to build, and then like, love it or hate it, I get to exercise my vision here because I bought these buildings, and the buildings are always very cheap, But like, because of the work we've done in these buildings, we'll fix the brick, we put all this stuff together. We spend a couple $100,000 on each of them. We'll buy a building for $20,000, put $200,000 into it, but then this building stands for another 100 years. And if you're doing the cost like from a like, is this worth it standpoint, it's like, all right, but all of my spend I get to amortize over 30 years. And so like my monthly spend on having a town that's this whole identity and all this content engine around it is dramatically less than my Facebook spend each month. And this town is taking me on the front page of the Wall Street Journal, NBC Nightly News, CBS Sunday Morning, NPR, Forbes, Inc. Everywhere I want to go, the story of what we're doing with the town is the most interesting thing about us. And so that's taken us all over the place, and honestly been the fodder that I use to run my ads in the most effective way. And so I'm a huge proponent of guys, you're sleeping on just buying a town. You go, when I say buy a town, I don't mean you're purchasing the district and doing anything. Right. It's I bought this next town over from us. They have a commercial row of buildings, cost I think $70,000. It's all fallen in and it's awful, but these towns, nobody wants to build anything and put it in there.
No vision. Yeah.
So I went and bought this next one. I think I'll turn it into Yarntown, USA, right? I own yarn.com. And
wow.
And so
That's
I'm great, we'll go build well, it's already a great business, Webb's up in Massachusetts, and we'll bring their store experience. And I'll split it into multiple experiences. We'll have a loom store and we'll have a weaving store, and those will be very close to each other. Then we'll have a crochet and embroidery and a yarn store and a fine art yarn store where you have the alpaca and you split it up into these experiences that span multiple shops, and it's the three-ring circus idea. You can't go there in just a day and see everything. You have all these things that you want to check out, and we've now put the flag in and said, oh, you love knitting. Cool. We're the capital of knitting in the U.S., maybe the world, because we have an entire town dedicated to it. Nobody's loved knitting as much as we love knitting. And by just, it's sort of like the early days of the internet. If you wanted to be a thought leader, you just had to start talking because nobody was talking about it. And so
sure.
If you start leading with thought, you get it. Well, the towns are the same way, where it's all right, I need 4 or 5 shops related to this. And there's very few businesses that I can't find an angle to finally get there. Guy that sells aquariums online. I'm like, dude, your town would be freaking sick.
Right.
Give me the fish shops up and down and this kind of fish and that. And here's your seawater and here's your coral store and it lets you expand this whole thing, which just supports your online selection more. Uh-huh. But now that you exist as a real place that I can visit, you're not a faceless, nameless warehouse on the internet trying to spam me with crap. You're this destination that has such an identity and a physical manifestation of your brand that conveys meaning to me. And I now want to be a part of your world.
Right. Yeah. You talked about how this also gives you a lot of really good content, and that's kind of like an angle and a stick that you want to go. And it's so if you were going to get this in front of, let's just say, another business that's doing $50 million a year, and you're going to convince their CFO that you're going to buy a town with some of the funds, right? Which might not even be that much for them, right? You said some of these towns, they're not even that expensive, but you're saying, hey, okay, buying the buildings is one thing, creating all of getting the buildings to where they need to be, fixing them up, and there's a lot there. And so it's okay, you're going to convince the CFO that this is the right idea to invest funds into. What are you looking at for the payback for this? Is it you're saying, hey, this is going to create a lot of content, you're getting all of this free publicity, so what's the cost of PR?
Yeah, I mean, so in our world, we build one of these and we expect the businesses to be break even on paying their own mortgage and their own staff to run, right? But we have people coming already. We've been telling this story for a minute. In the beginning, I mean, that was very nearly where we were all along. It's the town has always at least broken even, and then we so if I let's say I'm running I don't know a snowboard company and I sell snowboards, right? Well, I start by I buy the second building and I say, great, now we're going to build this is just for, I don't know, big and tall dudes, all the most giant boards or whatever it's going to be, and we would go buy that building. Maybe it's $50,000 or $100,000 for the building, and you're going to put another $100,000 in to fix it up and keep everything straightened and going. And you're just telling the story along the way, and so it's some content, it's doing its thing. That store opens, and now it's got an operating budget, and its rent is the mortgage, which should be low, right? Go find a small town where you need your mortgage low, right? Because this is more about the story than it is about location. People, Cabela's in Sydney, Nebraska. People just went to Cabela's. They went to nowhere, Nebraska to visit. Sure. That's what you're building. So we build this second spot. People come and visit, and then we build the next spot, which is maybe a snowboard demo facility where like you go off into the pits and you can come hang out for a week and just try board, and like it's great. And you do a little thing, right? You connect all this. Well, so what I'm thinking about on my end is like, great, I need some money from the CFO, but it's really just permission to go and like expand the complexity of our in-town operation. It's and as you expand this complexity a little bit, you're increasing the capacity for you to showcase more SKUs. So your assortment grows incrementally as you go. Yep. And then you now have you've zeroed in on an audience that, now we are I don't know how many big and tall snowboard stores there are out there, but now we are one, and we have a location, and we have some, there's a very real sentiment attached to this. And so I would look at it. I would look at the ROI on this in two ways. One, the content, which you go and feed out, and it's great. You now have a reason to exist in these spaces, which is cool and means something. You have some PR stuff that comes back to you, which is cool too. And then you have the collaborations where now like this piece of your business is collaborating with so and so, and we're going to launch a line here at this place that does this thing. In my world, that's most of the value, I think, sort of zeroes in one of those buckets of having this whole town experience. The PR opens a bunch of windows, like it's such a cool story to tell that anybody that I sit down with, if I was just a giant quilt company in a warehouse and they say, "Oh, that's so cool. You sell so much fabric. Tell me about that." We sell a lot of fabric and we're really good at selling fabric. Yeah. But instead where I go is I talk about this town, and I talk about the community that's part of it, and I talk about the events that we run, which again just generate more content. We just had our big birthday bash. Thousands and thousands of quilters come to town. It's the biggest event in quilting. It's this whole big to do, and people come and flood our town, and it's great. We have we're doing like dance offs and cake walks, and we have a theater that's running with presenters all day long, and vendors come. It's this whole big Lollapalooza for quilters. It's great content, and other people are talking about this event and this content, which again, when you run Huckfest snowboard version out of Vermont, when the whole town turns into that, you go to Fruita, Colorado, dude, the whole town turns out for this mountain biking world they've created, and it like because that happens, the industry talks about us. People know, it's this whole thing that because I've got the town, I got to put events on top of it, and that just it increases the effectiveness of what we're doing. And so, on the P&L level, it's not a genius idea. In fact, it just makes your business a little bit more complex. You're not losing money, you're not making money, but now you need your person to be a little more stable to run a couple of these sort of things. They're moving staff around different places, sort of like multiple departments. On the us as marketers level, we look at it and say, man, this is amazing. I can do so much with this gem of an entity that I get to start talking about who we're going to collaborate with because they want to be a part of this town story. I get to talk about what events we do on top of this and telling those stories again. I'm just repurposing my same properties to do this. And then the story of us as a business, we love our town. We love our people, our employees, our friends and family that live and work here and love what they do. And there's all these other pieces that sort of endear us to our customers. And it's funny because I know folks have done focus groups trying to figure out how to compete with us. Imagine they'd be like, you guys keep showing up as like America's local quilt shop. We're like, no, these guys are these online giants. And I'm like, no, dude, we're just a cute little quilt shop in Northwest Missouri. That's all we are to most people because they can see us, they can look at us, and they can come visit and give us a hug, and it makes us very tangible, and it's a big asset.
I love that you called out the local aspect. That's one of the things that I was working with an RC car company years ago, a decade ago. And one of the things that we were looking at is okay, from a positioning standpoint online, especially for them, they were a third-party retailer, right? So they're not selling their own stuff. And it's you only have a few things that you really can do. You're not the one that has the most in stock because the company that has the most in stock happens to be the distributor. So you're just never
Yep.
going to beat them on that. You're not the one, let's say, that has, you can try to compete and say we're the lowest price, but it's like that can also be like a race to the bottom. It's like,
It's hard to run a business on lowest price.
right. Or you could be the one that has the best customer service, and to the point where I would say, like, how could you be, and the phrase I used to say is the local hobby shop online. Basically, it was like I wanted people to feel like they were walking into your store. It's like if they don't know even what this piece is called, they're like, hey, my car is making this sound, and I don't even know what piece I need to buy from you, right? And it's like, so you have these video consultations, and you're just like, yeah, great. We're going to help you. We're going to, oh yeah, take this apart. Okay, unscrew that. Yeah, okay, this is the piece you need. Here, I've got it here, blah, blah. You know.
I immediately love that business because, yeah, you're trying to be maybe the most accessible, the most interesting. Like I would love if I'm an RC shop, right? And you're doing car talk, but for an RC, and somebody, here's my thing, here's the video, here's how it's broken. You say, great. Yep. Let me break this down for you. This week in car talk, RC car talk,
100%.
We're opening this up. We're doing this thing, and like it's funny because I've watched those videos, and when I get to the end, I'll buy it from them, even if it's a couple bucks more, thinking this is my loyalty for them making this. Here's my tip. I'm not going to buy a cup of coffee. I'm going to buy your stuff. Thank you for being there. And yeah, like it's funny because if I'm them, the other content I start getting excited about making is like what's the craziest stuff we can make these cars do? Here we've got we took some rocket engines and put them in this. Like we're gonna launch this. Here's our track, and if you come visit us, you can race our track. And it's this track that we have in the backyard, and it's awesome. And like it actually goes into the building and not through the thing. Like we just gone ham on this track, and then also. Now, I know this is crazy, but we opened up RC boats next door, and then we did RC planes the next door. And now, like, we're the RC aficionados. There's people that sell this crap because they're just buying what we tell them to buy. But, like, we are the mecca for RC stuff. And every store is attached to a test track. Like, you just get this whole persona around, like, we get it more, and we love it so much. And you see it because nobody else has built a shrine to RC cars. Like we have a town dedicated to this. Yeah. And like, that's the mic drop, right? Like you win. This is the future of retail to a point. And where I go with this is when we talk about retail and what's needed, we need experiences, right? Like we need a place where people can still come in person, but it's maybe less of like browsing aisles and aisles and aisles of stuff. It's more about like, how can I just kind of immerse myself in this experience? This is anecdotal, but talking to my middle school daughters and their friends, they don't actually like to buy a lot of things online. If it's something that is just, whatever basic, whatever thing that they want to buy that online on Amazon and use their parents' Prime account and whatever. But for most other things, they actually want to go and be in malls again. They want to experience things. They like that environment. And it's just got to level up a little bit. And to your point, why not a town? There are other futures that are being here. And I want to kind of get your take on the other versions. One is VR, AR, stuff like that, right? So like I've got the Vision Pro, and you can create this right now. So far, nobody's done a very good job of it. Alo Yoga has done like an okay job where it's like you kind of are looking at like yoga clothes in like a forest or on a beach. And it's like, it's still not the same thing, but it's like really creating this experience that people can go and be a part of. And then I had Akash Nigam, who is the founder of Genies with AI companions, and just the idea he was talking about, Home Depot, you can actually play games with your Home Depot AI avatar, and you're engaging with them, you're creating this personality and this relationship with them. And so like there's other futures of retail that are coming out, but I feel like the town is maybe the most practical future of all of them. Well, it's funny because all of those are sort of pretending to have the experiences that we're creating, right? Like, so if I was going to build an AI app for mine, I build my town in AR or in VR, right? And you get to walk down Hamilton, and you go into the shops, and there's the people, and there's the stuff, and like this is what you're shopping. But to have that really matter, I sort of had to create the town. You're mirroring reality into those spaces. That's the idea. And if your reality kind of sucks, well, then you're just lying to people. And so make a great reality, and the rest of this stuff will come naturally, sort of how I think about it. And it's funny because Amazon's interesting, man. I look at Amazon sort of like Walmart, right? If I get into mountain biking and I go to Walmart and I buy a nice Huffy and I take it out on the trail and it breaks in half, but I fell in love with mountain biking, it's great. But then I go and buy a real mountain bike. I show up in Specialized, or I show up in Giant, or one of these shops, and I go buy a real mountain bike from somebody that like goes deep on this, because I've now entered into this hobby. And Amazon, Walmart, all these guys, they're going to do a great job of like, oh, I've never tried quilting. Let me look for a thing. And there's going to be a little like toy dollhouse version of quilting, and you can try a thing out. And then when you fall in love with it, you want to go someplace where they really get it. Someplace that perhaps has built a town dedicated to it. You know what I mean? Like that's sort of how I look at winning in that space. And again, which town has the most like authority in this space? It's going to be the people that built an entire town around it. It is interesting in the age of sort of AI, right? Where like the shopping experience gets reduced to, hey, which one of these is the best? Find me the cheapest of this. And you're not interacting with the content or with the user as much. But again, I kind of think a lot of this stuff, if I'm spearfishing and I know exactly what I'm going for, I've just got to stab it. Like, I think that makes a lot of sense. If
100%.
I want to sort of look at what's out there, try and be inspired, get ideas, I think I still got to go to your website and your content, and I'm going to read what you're doing or watch the videos you're putting out. And so I think it's a thing that'll exist, right? And your low hanging fruit of people that are just looking for a pair of scissors. Hope we show up great in ChatGPT. I hope we win that one. But everything
I think
else,
you're doing it. So here's the reason, right? When you think about what an LLM is actually doing, without going too crazy, it's basically like this matrix of this works with this and this fits with this. And so you want to be the thing when people say quilting, you want, your brand to come up as many times as possible. So that way the LLM basically says, hey, whenever I'm saying this word seems to also be associated with this in high enough capacity that that's what I'm going to give them a reference to, right? So when people are looking for this, well, all of the PR that you're getting, all of the people that are talking about you, let's just even say on all of the forums that AI is pulling from, because it's not a human being and it needs to get that information from actual human beings. By having a town, you're still significantly far and above than just having another data feed like everybody else.
Yeah. When like, I keep thinking if I didn't have this town to sort of be my identity, all I've got is look at this new products we got in. Look at this
and that's a lot with what people do.
It's nuts to me, man. It's like, why would I ever read your newsletter that just says we got more crap in the store?
Did you see the iPhones now in orange?
yeah. But I mean, it's actually, dude, it's funny too, because the other version of towns that I love, you saying that just made me think of it, is like I kind of wish Nintendo had a town, or Microsoft.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Or like if Facebook had a town, for as goofy as Facebook is, what a rad thing to go and hang out in, right? Like I just want to go walk their main street and check out their store, and like a ton of people would go there and they'd buy the merch and they'd do the thing and they'd like, experience the future of their, codec avatar. Like it's just a playground for what they're building. And it would be a great exercise of like, great, what's the physical version of our brand? We want to take this digital only thing and imagine it as an experience. Or Nintendo, or like, I don't know, man, I play some video games and stuff, and it's like, dude, I want that store. I want to go in and play with the figurines and like look at the stuff and think, oh, that's neat. And here's all the other nerdy 40-year-olds that also play this dumb game. And now we are normal for a minute because we're just buddies that nerd out on this thing. And then we go home. And like they can have the whole town. Every game gets to be its own spot. And then there's a big arena where you play on a big screen and you can like, there's a bunch of stuff you can do, and events that happen and launches and all that stuff 100%. That lives around this town. It's like, dude, your cost in doing that is nothing. Why? What? Do it, you guys. Let the fans be even bigger fans and bigger ambassadors. But like, there's that version of a town too that I think totally works and kills it. You've got a big brand. You don't have any excuse to be in physical retail at all, but you're building these these shrines to, maybe it's to your customers or to your whatever your product is, and letting people just be enthusiastic fans of what you do. Like, there's something to be said for it.
I'm a fan of it. I'll tell you, when I was in college, one of the papers that we had to write was just like, what's your 30-year plan or whatever it was. And I don't remember what it was. And as a college student, I remember writing that I was like, I'm going to own a town. And I described the town that I was going to own. And to your point, where it's like this town that I wanted to create that was unlike any town that existed. And so I'm a big believer in what you're doing. I like it. Moving on from the town, though, what are some of the other things that you have found to be very helpful in you building and growing this business? You mentioned your 3 pillars. My handwriting sloppy. It was content, something, and community.
Content, commerce, and community. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
No, like if you're that RC car place, right? It's like, all right, we can't just sell stuff. What's our angle? And we're either the biggest selection, we're the cheapest price, we are we're kit fake focused, and like you come up with whatever your angle is for commerce, whatever your angle is for content, your angle for community. That's been super helpful for us. I'm trying to think. So like if the pieces that have been the most interesting for us as we've tried to grow this thing, it's funny, you'll kind of chase around new customer arbitrage where you can find it, right? A new thing comes out and you're like, great, they don't even know they're selling customers this cheap, and we figured out how to go get them. We're doing a thing. In the end, like I read this book called Brandscaping by Andrew, I forget his last name. Great guy though. He's cool. He's actually like I've met him a couple of times. I actually was going to go have a meeting with him. He's out of Nashville, and I flew to Memphis and said, "All right, it says you're 3 hours away." And he's like, "You flew to the wrong town in Tennessee. Suck."
Really?
I got some ribs and went home. I didn't know. It has that include nearby airports. It always gets me.
Yep.
And so cool guy, but he wrote this book, Brandscaping. The idea of brandscaping is essentially who has your current customer base already. In my world, it's like, all right, who's there's a cooking channel that caters to my demo exactly. And it's like, great, who are they? Where are my people hanging out already? There's maybe it's like what's that? AARP Insurance or Reader's Digest.
Sure.
I always thought Reader's Digest. It's like, dude, I loved reading that book at my grandma's house. Like she always had like that audience that still loves Reader's Digest for sure loves quilting, And so it's like, great. How do I connect with them? Or what's the collaboration look like that we do a thing together? And their audience is excited to meet me, and our audience is excited to meet them, and we all high five together. And so there's a bunch of like, that's been the biggest unlocks, I think, in my world is that starts happening again. Well, we just had one that we did. There's this guy on Bravo who does Southern Charm. His name's Craig Conover, and he's just a hot guy on Bravo that all the ladies love. Cute dimples, just a sweetheart of a man. And he designed a fabric line. We did a bunch of projects. So like he was just making pillows. That was his shtick, and he had a store in Charleston. He did the whole thing, and we approached him and said, "Hey man, like I bet there's some crossover here. We should do a thing together." He put out a fabric line. We made a bunch of stuff out of that fabric and did a whole thing. And now he's been on our tutorials. We've been on theirs. And like his audience is excited to meet us. It's an extension of hey, I'm a maker and I create stuff, and look, I'm learning how to make this new thing. You guys should come with me and try it out. And our audience is excited to see him because he's shirtless in a lot of his pictures, and they just love a half naked Craig Conover. But like he's a really charming guy. He's a really nice guy. But like in our world too, we did a little pop-up shop related to him, right? So all of his stuff and his showcases line great and all the stuff he was making. And then he came to town for our big event, our big birthday bash, and people got to come and meet Craig, which was a whole big deal in his shop that we put together for him. Our marketing team was leveraging that into all this great social content, and their team and our team are working together to create a bunch of stuff that we're posting weeks and weeks after the event. And then all that product into our online space is just driving sales and doing a great job. And so it's funny. That diagram of Disney that they put out where it's like It's like every movie comes out and it needs
Yes.
the retail
Yes.
thing, and it needs a ride. We need this, and it's all the czar of inner operations, and everybody's talking to each other. I always look at that, man. I'm like, we suck. Why don't we do that better? Oh my gosh, we're doing this, and we're such idiots because we don't see it over here. Well, now we're at a point where it's like, no, as it comes in, it's getting leveraged in all the right places, and all the teams are talking to each other. And as we do that, the entire business gets better. And so that's where I'm like, as I look forward from here, what takes us to double our size right now? It's we are friends with more people, we're buddies with more people. We help more people get rich by exposing them to this audience and helping them create products and do all kinds of cool stuff. And like, I just get so pumped about the future of that and that brandscaping idea where like, we couldn't afford to pay for these customers if I had to buy them off Facebook. We would never get there. But if we can give some of ours and they give some of theirs and like everybody's stoked on the other side, like, man, it's a way better way to spend a career than just trying to mine dollars for customers on social.
I can't wait to see this Disneyification of you guys here when you come out with figurines and it's Nancy with the removable thimble, and I mean this is gonna be next level.
My mom, no joke, has an actual figurine you can buy in the store, and it's the creepiest.
Really?
Thing. When your mom has an action figure, dude, you're just like, what is happening? Who's buying this? Why are we doing this?
But I do agree with you on the idea of how do you get where your customers are already at? The idea that I like to think about is it's like, how do you get the people who your customers think is cool to say that you're also cool? And going back to human relationships, I really like thinking about things in that frame of mind. If we were hanging out in a group and all of a sudden you were like, oh, you play guitar? You got to meet my friend John. Because John also plays guitar and he's really great. And you're like, all of a sudden, if I just met John out on the street, I would be like, I don't know who you are. I don't care to get to know you. But now I'm like, oh, I got to get to know John. Al just told me I need to get to know you. And so if you can get those people, like you said, AARP, if you could do some kind of a deal with them or something even a little bit closer related, pillows, it's like, okay, that's close enough. How do we find a way to get each other's customers to see us as cool?
Yeah.
More or less.
I mean, it's a great point, and honestly, not to beat a dead horse, but like another reason to have a town, man.
Yeah,
another reason to have a town. Oh, you play guitar, dude? My buddy John has an entire town dedicated to freaking guitars. It's the wildest thing. You can make one, and it's got an ukulele shop, and it's got guitars of the world. There's a museum there for it. And then you have it's crazy, and you get together, dude. Just random guys. Like, have you ever been to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Ohio?
Yes, I grew up in Ohio, so yes.
Bro, you go upstairs in there and like you get to play with AC/DC or whatever. You're doing the drums or whatever it is, and you're like, this is the coolest thing I've ever done. And it's like every freaking guitar shop I walk into should have this experience somehow. Or like, I'm there, maybe all my buddies, like we now have instruments and we can do it. I want to buy that guitar. I'm gonna take it home. I'm gonna keep practicing like this. We're gonna, you know what I mean? It's like, dude, build that, you guys. It's what, like Guitar Center, when they were like 5 stores, I think they were sort of like that. Was a much bigger deal where now they're just giants and soulless, but sweet people, I'm sure. But you know what I mean? Like when they were small and exciting, it was like,
you can't follow that up with that.
That was what
they're
they were
soulless
doing.
but sweet people. So I think that town exists. I think that town is called Nashville. No, but to your point, yes, it could be a lot more niche than that, like a total dedicated town just for that.
When it's funny, man, if I walked into Nashville, right, like, I would not expect that I would have an amazing experience walking into some music shop. Because I don't know anything about it, and I feel like an imposter being there, and they're not built for beginners. But you know what I mean, like.
That's a good call.
But each of those shops is probably a shop. But if there was an entire, like, this is actually a good point. They all banded together and put all the guitar shops on one city block.
Yeah,
there's shop after shop after shop. It's the same reason like McDonald's and Burger King go across the street from each other, because everybody just wants to go to where you're doing that. Like, dude, the guitar district in Nashville would be a freaking, maybe that does exist, but it's like, dude, it probably doesn't, and they should, dude. They should
I don't think it does.
25 stores to walk into, and all these, like, they spread out into the street and they've got their displays, and everybody's just jamming and we're having a great time, and like, you're gonna look at each one until you find your thing. Like, that's a reason to fly to Nashville if you're buying a new guitar, because that experience doesn't exist anywhere else. So go there to the Mecca and buy your guitar. That's what you should do. And it's like, Dude, wouldn't it be a shame if somebody else built that before Nashville, right? Like Nashville missed
Right?
that whole thing. It's Duluth, Minnesota is the guitar center of the world. But like somebody's going to take that flag.
Somebody needs to.
And they say, we did it. We got it.
All right. So the content piece, though. So that's one of the biggest things you're getting out of this. I think you said you got started on YouTube in 2008. I mean, this thing is just, it's embryonic at this point. How did you, like, when you think about content now that works versus 2008, like, what is the stuff that what's the stuff that's working?
Content's funny, man, because it's like my ambition is to saturate the content space with my own content. When you search for quilting on the internet, it's all friggin' Missouri Star, and you're just so, oh my gosh. And you think about the content world, right? So like as I've defined it, these are my own buckets, but it's like you have educational, you have inspirational, and you have entertainment. And so if I'm a quilter, there's inspirational stuff. There's the 3-minute Upworthy type video that gets shared on Facebook that makes me cry, of a fireman giving a quilt to somebody, and it's a story that, like, I love it. And there's the 10-minute version of that, and there's the 90-second Facebook version of that, and then there's also like we're doing this thing for charity, and it's all these like different forms of content that I could consume that are going to inspire me. If I'm entertaining, I've got 2 comedians making a quilt, and oh my gosh, and like, if you know quilting, you're watching these dummies, I can't believe how silly those guys are. And then I've got like, oh no, the quilt explosion, and the quilt ripped. What do we do? And like, little TV shows. Right. That's what you're going to watch while you're walking on the treadmill, because again, you're a quilter and you just want to watch quilting stuff. And on the treadmill, you're putting on a 20-minute episode of this thing, and off you go. And then in education, you have you've got the tasty style overhead videos. You've got the TikTok quick 90-second, we're making a quilt today. You've got the 3-minute quick, sped up education piece. You got the 10-minute tutorial video. You've got the hour-long, the 3-hour master class. Like, all of these are different formats of this. My entire business is built on the 10-minute tutorial content. That's it. And it's like, so when I look at this, I'm like, man, I want to be doing all this stuff. There's so many other angles to go. And a lot of people would look at right now and say, I got to be great on TikTok. It's like, dude, there's an audience there. But there's still an audience searching for how to fix my RC car on YouTube and doesn't even care about what's on TikTok. And if you're an RC enthusiast and they've got a humorous one that you just like to watch their videos because they're entertaining, or maybe they're just, this guy is the nerd of this stuff and encyclopedic knowledge, and he's just doing. Like, whatever your niche is, there's an audience waiting for that and willing to follow it. And then worry about expanding out of that once you get going. But I wouldn't even bother pigeonholing yourself into that. Like at this stage for us, we look at all this stuff as like plus ups, where we're on TikTok. We'd love to have more viral videos on TikTok. It's always great when they go, and we're making videos for it and doing a thing. Our meat and potatoes is still this tutorial stuff, and nothing surpassed that yet for us. And so we're like, all right, we've got this thing and it's got an audience. If we want more audiences in these other spaces, we should expand into them. How do we go figure that out? And so like the ones that I'm ambitious about right now, I think are, clearly some of the short form stuff. You talk to some of these guys that are just killing it with, but like, they're so infuriating. I hate that they're doing good. All these videos that don't have a conclusion, I made quilting tutorials and cut off the last 3 minutes where you see it all come together and just infuriate you, where you go to my profile, look for the next one. You're like, these guys suck. It would be the best channel out there because that's what they reward. They reward that retention, then the click in, shows that you love it. You got to be scammy and spammy. It's just not in our character to do the cliffhangers and be jerks about you can't find it here. You got to watch 4 more videos to figure it out.
Irritates me too. Are you familiar with the Big Bang Theory, Sheldon Cooper?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there was the one episode where it's he wanted to complete everything, and so Amy just started doing things to leave cliffhangers for him. So it's they're playing tic-tac-toe, and it's right before the last move, he races the board. It's no, what are you doing?
You'll never know. Yeah. No, it's that stuff works, man. And it's that's hard for me. Somebody else is going to win that one. I'm going to give it to somebody else because I don't want that to be me. But there, I mean, honestly, it's just storytelling. It's storytelling where people are and how they are. I think there's still plenty of room for like traditional media, cable TV storytelling.
Yeah,
and there's still plenty of room for like, Facebook. No one owns the Facebook quilting videos right now. They don't. And even in my own space, somebody can come in and be the talking head, the voice of the industry that everybody just watches every time. Because nobody, like, that crown shifts. Somebody will own it for a little bit and move somebody else, and whether you're maybe that's like whatever business these listeners have, dear listener, whatever business you have. Speaking to you,
we're breaking the fourth wall here.
Whatever business you've got,
to them.
Just start doing it. I mean, it's funny, man, because like I've tried to make content for my own personal brand, right? And I've got like 20 videos. It's like, hey, oh no, I'm gonna do that. Hey guys, it's me. Oh no, that's stupid. Like it's so hard to start making content. But like the guys that do it, they're like, yeah, I wasn't afraid to be a little cringy, and I made the thing and let people start following along. And honestly, man, when you're doing something, it's way easier to tell that story than just like, let me just sit and talk to the camera. And so living a cool life, being a cool business that's doing interesting things and supporting interesting causes and trying to do cool stuff. It's a content dream. Just go share that stuff, tell the story, and then you'll find your sort of angle where you like to do it. Yeah.
And that's such a good call out too, of just, you have to be willing to be cringy a little bit at first. I definitely look back at my first podcasts and I'm like, I hope nobody watches those ones. And I'm going to feel that way 2 more years from now too. Right. And it's like every time the whole point is you should be getting better and better.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about, I got to go into a little bit of personal stuff here. Dr. Bill Nye, this is your handle. How did you become Dr. Bill Nye?
Well, listen, man, we all pick a handle as 14-year-olds. Right. My unfortunate reality is I got rich too early before I had to be professional. Like most people have this culling process where like they want to get a job, so they have to have like Doan at Gmail. And I never had to suffer through that. So now as a grown man, I'm still in my 14-year-old email saying, hey guys.
But how did that start? Like, are you just a big fan of Dr. Bill Nye?
He taught me, listen, I was homeschooled growing up. And so he was a big deal in our house. He taught me how to make a hovercraft out of mom's vacuum. That's a big deal. And then I remember I got into LAN parties and I was playing like Unreal Tournament. And I feel like Dr. Bill Nye, he never got enough attention when I was a kid. He didn't get enough clout. Now he's maybe got too much. But as a kid, I was like, I just like the idea of people being fragged by Bill Nye. And so that became my handle. And you wouldn't believe it, not a lot of people taking that handle. If you're trying to be killer or something, like that thing's gone in a second. But no, Dr. Bill Nye, very available. My AC just came on. I've ruined the whole show now, I'm sure.
No, it's not ruined. They'll probably be able to clean up most of that. I'll mark the clip though, just in case. Okay, so as you've scaled up, you've stepped down as CEO, and I'm sure it had nothing to do with the email address. What signs pushed you to say, hey, I think it's time for me to bring on somebody else to do this?
It's funny, man. I wrote a blog post about this when it happened because just signs that the founder's been in there too long, right? For me, I was 26 when I started this thing, and rock and roll. And I had this, a friend of mine, actually, he and I had consulted together. I called him when we got going. I was like, Rick, come help me out, dude. You're a smart guy. And he came in, he was this old gray hair guy that like just had seen everything. And I just needed him to be like my confidant and help me through stuff. But he had some responsibilities and stuff. And so we'd show up in like a weekly meeting and, I'd find myself like barking at him, like, gosh dang it, Rick, I told you to do this last week. What are you doing, man? I pay you real money. Are you freaking kidding me? Oh, dude, I can't believe it. And I'd be like, dude, why am I yelling at this guy? I'm not a yeller. I don't need to do that. And I'd show up and be like, hey, baby, that's not me. This is Papa Bear Doan, I'm a good guy. Yeah. And we did this cycle a couple times. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like an abusive boyfriend. I keep I'll yank him around on this stuff. And so I went deep down this rabbit hole of sort of the coaching and therapy stuff, found a great team over at Reboot with Jerry Colonna and Dan Putt and those guys that were very sweet to me and helpful. And a lot of what I sort of came to understand was going on is like when you're insecure in a situation, you react very aggressively or defensively. And in my world, I was 26, I was 100 people and I still made everybody send me a daily email of what they got done.
Daily. Wow.
Because I was like, I'm spending money on all you fools. Like, tell me what you got. And I remained the most, I would say the best at every job in the company. Nobody could do any of their jobs better than I could because I was like in their business, which was a sucky reality and also very sucky for them. I now can see how awful that would be. You know what I mean? You're not on a team. You're working for a man. And so but I'd get 100 of these emails a day and I prided myself on no middle management. We're doing this thing and here we go. And I was just micromanaging everybody and we were growing too fast. I had no experience in it, or we were growing very fast and I had no experience in it. Not too fast. You can never go too fast. And because we're doing this, I was way out of my element on a lot of these situations. And instead of raising my hand and saying, hey guys, I have no idea. I don't know. I've never negotiated a deal like this. I've never hired a chief operations officer. I've never, instead of being able to have those conversations because I thought that would make me look weak and the people around me didn't have the answers either. And so I needed to look strong. And the way I thought how to do that was by being kind of a douche. Well, so then we do this therapy thing. And one of the journaling prompts was like, imagine you're in a helicopter looking down at your life. Describe what you're in. I was like, it's four walls. I'm stuck inside. It's my family business in my family town that I live in an industry that I've told everybody to believe. I can never leave this. I'm stuck here. I can never do anything. And one of the most liberating things that anybody said to me is like, dude, you don't have to do this. Dude, like people find other leaders all the time. And if this isn't making you happy, you got one life, man. Like step away from this. We'll figure it out. So we did. I came back and was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't think this is good for me, and I'm not doing a great job. And so we found another CEO who was my buddy Mike, who has the Myers-Briggs of Jesus. He's just this very people-oriented person. But you can imagine, after me, that was the perfect personality type to come into this organization and sort of heal it up. And now we've got this great CEO named Jeff, who's an operator that this guy, he can go into a marketing team and say, hey, show me your plan for next year. And I think we can do better. Where I didn't have any context for that. I was just looking everybody in the eye and being like, are you screwing me? Are you not getting enough out of you? Oh, I just got to guess. I think you're screwing me. Yep. You know what I mean? It's like, man, it's such a crappy way to run a business. I needed to have some idea of what good looked like or what bad looked like before I came and applied it to my team. And I was just guessing. I'd hear other founders tell a story and I'd come back and say, you guys are all the worst and you're not doing it right. Yeah. And so now with Jeff, he gets, he has some barometer of like, oh, this is a reasonable expectation for marketing. Here's a reasonable expectation for our advertising budget. Here's how this stuff should go. Dude, when I built our own warehouse and I was just watching videos of like Amazon on YouTube and being like, oh, that's what a warehouse should look like. Okay. All right, I'll build it this way. And I'm going to build my own software and I'm going to migrate ourselves onto our own ERP, without any partners, any help. We're just going to do it. And so my advice to other people is like, if you have a boss that is yelling a lot, if you're yelling a lot, it's not because they're terrible people. They're way out of their depth. They're out of their element. They're making everybody around them suffer because they're trying to point to everybody else and say, look at all these dummies so that you won't look at them. That's certainly what I was doing. And man, looking back on it now, I'm like, oh, what a great moment to get out of there. And it was funny because I stepped back from that day to day. I still own it. I still, I'm still in it almost every day, doing a bunch of work on here, advising and guiding. And I still run the product in the team and stuff because I'm good at that. But I'm still very passionate about it. But what I've been able to do is I every year I have a hard skills effort I do and a soft skills effort I do. So hard skills is like go take a class on how to do negotiations. Go take a class on how to read a P&L. You know, it's one of those things that you just think everybody will pick up along the way. And it's like, no, I'm going to go. I did one of those Harvard, the OPM program, which was great for me. Because it's like, here's a bunch of coursework that an MBA would take, and we're just going to go through it all. And I'm like, I think I'm a way better marketer than your marketers you have. But man, I was like, I never tried to practice negotiating. I never thought to look at like, you know, Toyota operations and try and understand how to build my organization better. So all this stuff was very helpful in a hard skills formula for me. And then the soft skills is like, go on a retreat with your CEO buddies, go join one of those circles where you talk about problems, that kind of thing. And that's been so healthy for me to sort of be scaling myself up, because like now I'm sort of presiding over this big organization. And if you're not skilling up and finding peers that are doing, you know, in a similar spot and being able to work with them and do a thing, you're going to have a hard go at it, man. It's not intuitive just how to do this stuff. And you're going to figure out how to be a great boss and live a good life at home and be a great husband and a great father and all the other pieces that you need to do. If you don't surround yourself with some people that can help you along that way. And believe it or not, even my CEO now, he's one of those guys. He's been a great mentor to me. I had an experience recently where like, one of his guys, was, you know, he did something stupid or missed a thing. And it was connected to my product stuff. And I got him in a meeting and I was just like, I guess we're all dummies now. I can't believe this, man. You give him one of those. And I called him after. I called my CEO. I was like, sorry, man. I kind of barked at your guy and might have missed that one. He said, it's funny, man. Like 95% of being a leader is just controlling how you respond to news. They're going to come and tell you a thing. And if you can control it in a way that you're proud of and you respond like, okay, all right, we'll work on it. Man, I'd like us to do better. This is okay. You know, like if you can be in control of that, then you're going to be a great leader. And if you can't, you're just a spaz that everybody secretly hates, and somehow you've stumbled into power, and you know it's dumb. And that's been like the most practical advice I think I've ever gotten on leadership. And it's one I think about often as my kids bring me problems, my wife brings me problems, my company brings me problems. I just want to be the guy that responds in a predictable, accountable but not spazzy way. That's what I'm trying to be. And it's funny, man. We've all got buddies that are somehow just unfappable. They have this quality to them where like nothing gets to them. This eternal optimism and like no news is bad news, and it can be hard, but we're going to figure it out. And it's like, man, if I have a quality I admire, it's that. I want to be that guy. I want people to talk about me that way. That like I've been through enough cycles. I don't need to stress about these things. We're fine. And unfortunately, I'm not quite there where I would like to be, but I've been through enough cycles that I should be able to hold myself to that standard and say, dude, didn't kill me last 20 times. It's not going to kill me this time. Like, let me respond with a hug and like an arm around the shoulder rather than any other way. And it makes a huge difference.
That's seriously great advice. Something that I've borrowed from the hospital. I used to work in the hospital, and as you can imagine, seriously bad things can happen there. You can give somebody the wrong medication and they die, right? You can amputate the wrong limb. Like there's some very, very bad things. But you won't be able to improve the processes that allow those things to take place if people are afraid to report on any of those situations, right? And so I've borrowed that in our own agency, where there is more or less a no-fault policy, where it's just like, you have to share. If you catch something that you did that somebody else, you have to share what the thing was that happened that was wrong, knowing that I'm going to look at this and say, great, we have an opportunity to fix our process then in some way. We have an opportunity to fix it so that way that can't happen again. There are two things. There are two caveats to that. One is if it was gross negligence, you got drunk and decided to go into somebody's ad account and mess around with it. It's like, that's not excusable. And the second one would be intentional malfeasance. You did something on purpose. You were mad at the client and you were like, I'm going to screw up their business. Like those are the two.
Started an ad account on Snapchat or something. You can't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's funny, man. When I think about that, I was a camp counselor one year, and like this is my embarrassing story that I think about all the time. I was a camp counselor one year, and we were in a gym, and there's a bunch of kids in there, and somebody opened the emergency exit door and started going, and my response was, who did it? Who did it? Point him out. Who did it? And slowly, I was, Jimmy did it. And like, I was just like, gosh dang it. And like, all I did was make that kid feel stupid. Right. And like, kind of spazzed out and like wanted to name, I wanted to blame somebody, because that's your instinct when something goes wrong. I want somebody to be the dummy so that I'm not the dummy. And I don't want to be taken advantage of. And I don't want to be the passive. Like, it's one of you guys. And it's funny, man. If I go back, that's one that just like sits in my memory, is like, I wish I could have been like, oh, dude, it's just a beeping alarm. We'll figure it out. No, it's no big deal. Like, I could have changed that dude's whole moment, made him look good in front of his friends instead of look like an idiot and have it, and I'm just like, that's one that I compare my actions today to. And I still do that to some people sometimes, where like, who, what was it? Oh, it was you. You're accountable for this mistake, and I'm going to point you out in front of everybody. And it's such a muscle to build, but it's worth building, of like, hey, I'm going to give you a call. Let's talk about this. I feel like this thing's happening, man. I sort of give this because there's people that are working for crappy bosses. And in startups, you forget, man, like if they're treating you like this, if you'll chalk it up to like, it's a high energy, high growth startup, and this is just how it is. It's like, no, man, people can be great and still good humans, and find those bosses, work for those guys that are great and good humans. Don't work for the crappy people that yell at you and spaz out and are unpredictable and treat you like garbage. And there's presidents of companies that have owners of companies that treat them like it's not all right.
I'll go farther than that too. And I'll say, if you care about your boss, because hopefully you do care about your boss. If you care about your boss and they are that person, call them out in the right way, right? But give them a shot. Don't just walk away. Like I would say that maybe in society too much now, we're too quick to just be like, that person's toxic, I'm getting them out of my life. And it's like, wait a minute, we need to call each other out in a kind way, but just say like, hey, have you ever thought about maybe taking some training on this or whatever? If they're still not responsive to that, then fine.
My guy, Rick, man, he's, we together went out to try and find a solution, because like we could identify the behavior, and I couldn't in the moment, but like, when I was there apologizing, he's like, it's sort of a cycle. We're doing this. Like you're here a lot in this space, and like, this isn't fun for you. You're not sleeping good. I promise you that. Like you're not proud of this. And so like, I got some ideas of stuff you could do. And like, there's like naked bathtub retreats in Big Sur that are an option. Like there's a bunch of places that do this stuff. And it's just a matter of like, in the end, you just go to, it's like some guided journaling, read some poetry, and then talk about what's hard in business. And they'll give you some like, therapy is a toolbox. They give you a couple of tools that you can reach into and use, and like ones that I put in mind that now when I hit situations, I'm like, it's a loyal soldier. I got this thing in the back of my mind that's saying this is how I need to respond to this. And I don't need that anymore. Like we can move past. But like, thankfully my employee didn't, my guy, Rick, didn't just bail on me. Right. He said, hey man, I love you. And like, I care about you. And you're going to keep going on this. It's going to be a crappy life. No one's going to want to work in this spot. Your business is going to suffer because you're not going to get great talent. They don't want to be around this. And like, let's work on that. And dude, it was magic. It changed my whole life having an employee that like cared about me enough to do that. Exactly.
We're getting into my favorite segment anyway, so let's just jump into it. The Who is Al Doan segment.
Brought to you by Element.
You're not going to let me live that one down.
This segment brought to you by our friends at my company.
It sounds so lame. So I don't have any other sponsors on purpose yet, because I'm like, kind of to your point, maybe I care too much about it, right? It's like,
No,
I like that company. I don't know if I like them enough though to actually have them be a part of my company.
If they'll give you money, like, you're sponsored by OnlyFans next, dude. What are you talking about?
That's the thing. You take money from somebody, they kind of own you a little bit. And you're like, I don't know if I actually want to be associated that closely to you. Okay, but who is Doan? You're a pickup basketball extraordinaire, self-proclaimed.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about your pickup basketball here.
No, there's no great story there. I just I'm 6'7". I'm a giant man.
No way! I didn't know that.
So as a giant, I play a lot of basketball. It's funny. There's been a moment the last couple of years where like there's a bunch of tech guys that we get together and just play ball, and it's great, man. I honestly I don't have a good run around here. Like I'm out on a farm in the middle of nowhere, and so I get to play basketball like twice a year, and it's just a treat, man. You get around with a bunch of guys and play a game. It's fun, and so I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of that. It's funny if I was given sort of a high level of what I do day to day. There's a couple of things that I think are interesting in my world. I got married 8 years ago to a lovely woman named Drea. Real sweetheart.
Congrats.
6 foot too, yoga instructor. 6 foot. Man, I was like, where is this girl? Apparently, my buddy knew her for like 10 years. Never even thought to connect us. His giant friend, his giant woman friend, never thought to connect us. We have 4 kids, and they're a treat, man. Like being a dad, I can't say enough good about it. I wanted to be a dad.
I agree.
For like since the time I was 15. It's a dream come true for me. And I have the very toxic trait of I think I'm maybe the best dad that ever lived. I think I do such a good job with these kids. And I'll mention it to my wife. She'll be like, I'm not sure I spent enough time with him, and just all he know I love him. I hope he knows I love him. And I'm like, what? I think I'm the greatest dad that ever lived. What do you mean? That's never crossed my mind that I wasn't the best. And so like love being a dad of these kids, getting into this farming world. I've got a couple 100 acres and some motorcycles to ride on, or to go ride on these fields with my boys. And we bought a couple of cows that have been great. We bought 3 cows in the winter and from a sale barn, and they all died within a week. Man. And like, dude, you want to feel like a crappy steward. Buy 3 cows. You're digging graves for like a 2,000-pound animal. It is a monster. I was like, what am I doing? This is the worst. We're back in though. We've got a couple. They're alive 6 months now. We're doing a good job.
Nice.
And then like I go on one big grand adventure a year with some buddies. And so we've done like Kilimanjaro and the Everest base.
Yeah, you so did that. That's right.
Dude, it's funny, man, because like when you're an entrepreneur, I don't know if you've suffered from this, but like as I got in my business and you hit a high growth stage, all the good habits that I put in place to help me get where I wanted to go, I threw them right out the window. You quit working out, you quit eating well, you quit journaling, you quit studying, you wake up and work, and then you work till you go to sleep, and you sleep, and then you're done. And so it's just like in crappy shape. I got married, and like it was funny because I got married, and it actually threw me into a bit of a depression because marriage was this big milestone that I was working towards for so long. And then like when you're single and you want to insert a little enthusiasm or joy into your life, you click a lever to change, right? And you can either change where you live, you change who you're dating, you change your job, you change your religion, you change your, you pick one of these things and you turn it on its head, and now life is interesting again. You're having a good time. Well, I got married and was like, I'm not moving. I've got a mortgage now. I'm tied in with the same great woman, salt of the earth, sweetheart, but I don't get to go anywhere else. I've got a job that like this is sort of me now, and I could either go and do more jobs and create more jobs for myself, but like the quality of life I want precludes that. And I was like, I'm happy in my religion. I like the moral framework that I'm building around. And so what do I do? And it really threw me for a loop, man. I got deep down in the, not like grown up depression. I wasn't like couldn't get out of bed, but I was certainly like, I don't know what the freak to do, and I don't have any motivation or ambition. And it's funny because the cure for that for me, like I one of my buddies that I did this school stuff with, he was doing a climbing trip to Kilimanjaro, and it was like, hey, we're going in 2 months. You want to go? was like, dude, I can't do a push-up. Like, I can't. Yeah. He's like, get in the gym 4 days a week and you can go. And I said, all right, man, I had a goal now set there. And
I love it.
And got a trainer and got working on it and like got me back doing a thing. And I accomplished a thing. And it was this really great moment for me. And so I've hung that now that I have a big, hairy goal I'm going to work on each year. Right now, I'm running a marathon in 2.5 weeks.
Wow.
Which as a 6'7" giant is not a small feat. This is not my special place. And it's super hard and awful. And I hate it. And I can't wait to be done with it. But like, I'm going to do it. And I've been training for it all summer. And it's like, I just need this thing to hang in front of me to work towards. And I'll go knock it out. And so like, that's the other big piece of my personality is like, I kind of get to be an adventurer now and go do these cool bucket listy things. I do last year. I started playing rugby in a full-on D3 rugby team. I've never played rugby in my life. And like, it's the best. Just a beer league with these guys that are cool buddies and we travel around and play. Like, it's just so much fun. But at 43 is not when you want to be picking this stuff up. But like, unfortunately, man, I was busy in my 20s and 30s building the company. So I'm just here now trying to have a good time and do fun, interesting things, create some good stories that I can tell my kids at night. And that's I mean, if I was going to give an overhead view of me, I think that'd be a basketball. Basketball would be a very small piece of it, but delightful piece all the same.
I love that you're playing in, like you said, D3 rugby. I hadn't played baseball since high school, but last year I joined a softball league, men's league. And it was the same thing, right? It was like, man, I went to the batting cages. I'm like, I got to remember if I even can swing and hit this ball. Like, even though it's slow pitch, it's like, I don't even know if I can do that, right? Do I have the coordination to? But is there something about getting together with a group of guys and spitting out sunflower seeds again, and you're like, this is a good time.
No, you need to do it. You know what's funny too is I'm buddies with the guys. There's a Shopify reviews app called Okendo.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool Aussie guys. But I was at some like advisory board thing they did, and I talked them into sponsoring my D3 rugby team. And
nice.
So they put a couple grand in, and now the jerseys we play in are like a Kendo Shopify app. Brilliant. Jerseys. And the thing that I love about it is I was like, dude, you guys should be freaking sponsoring every little league baseball team and whatever. And like, it's such it costs you $200 to put this stuff together. And like, everybody's just chatting about it because it's such a novelty. You have this like random app sponsoring their little league team or our rugby team or your softball team. I think it's such a move, dude. If you're a big enterprise software thing, get nerdy on doing that because like it's lots of great conversations. All you need is like sign up from out of that, and it's a net win. But like the fact that we're traveling, we're playing all this stuff, and everybody's saying, "What is Okendo?" I love it. I thought it was such a smart move that they went along with my random idea and kind of think everybody should exploit that for like, if you have a customer, just be like, dude, if I can sponsor anything your kids are doing, I want to sponsor this.
I got to think about that now. That would be a really good idea. Who do I want to sponsor? This has been a lot of fun talking to you. I have learned a lot about you, but I've also learned a lot about building towns and all kinds of good growth stuff. You went a lot deeper than I expected you to go to, so I appreciate that.
We get to the depths.
If people wanted to follow you, learn more about what you're sharing online, what's the best way for them to do that?
I mean, I'm on Twitter, Dr. Bill Nye. Most of what we're doing these days is I'm investing with a group, Rolling Fund. We just do like deep, nerdy tech. So if you're into nuclear, if you're underexposed to the future, come hang out. I'll show you all the cool stuff we're doing. Over at Rolling Fund, and man, the future's awesome. I love that we live in the age. I don't know if you remember watching like the TED Talks where the guy's like, and this is a drone, and it goes up and moves over and it drops the ball. This is what we're going to do. Like, I have vivid memories of watching this, just be like, oh my gosh, when a drone can go, this is crazy,
right?
And now we live in an age where it's like, dude, it's happening. This is going.
Right.
We're doing it. This is great.
It's here.
It's
what
fun.
are you the most excited about then? What is the tech thing that you're like, this is the next level thing that I don't even know if people are aware?
I would 100% take a single use robot that like just stood in my mudroom and put my shoes on the shelf. Like
Single use.
you know what I mean? Like just get good at that. Or I want him to clean my countertops 3 times a day and just move the dishes. Like I'm in for 10 grand on the robot that just did the one thing and crushed it. The counters were always clean. Because,
are you going to buy an Optimus then?
Because 100%. I mean, the bummer will be when China hacks it and he murders me in my sleep. But you're going to go somehow. And so might as well be under the hand of a Chinese manipulator that stabs you to death with a robot.
Yeah, my wife has no interest in that being in our home. I'm like, well, I got to just bring it to the office then.
But it's so funny because like at the point that all those little jobs, I've heard the talks on like the washing machine being invented or the dishwasher being invented. And it's like these people, you're so resistant to it because the way you've done it forever, but all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, washing used to take 2 full days of a woman's time, whoever was running the house's time, 2 full days. And all of a sudden that's now 2 hours. And you're like, oh, well, maybe I'll read.
Right.
Maybe I'll embroider. Maybe I'll go back to doing the crafts and hobbies that I love. So like, I'm loving robotics. I love robotics as it speaks to like, warehouses and fulfillment stuff. I think that's such a no-brainer when all that's just automated and done. A lot of energy stuff we're nerding out on. Dude, there's so many cool companies that are just like trying the craziest stuff. There's the company we're in they're doing airship. I think the company's called Airship, but it's like they're taking like blimps and moving shipping containers from China. So they skip the port. You go in the jet stream, and it moves you. You're here in 3 or 4 days, sort of thing. It's like dramatic decrease in cost.
Drops you right into Hamilton, Missouri.
Drops it right there. I'm just like, dude, I want that future. Absolutely, we should have this. This is amazing. So no, come hang out, guys. If you want to ask me about you're stuck in your company and you're not sure what to do, I've got a lived experience around this. Happy to give some light coaching and refer you to real grown-ups that know how to coach, and then also let's just nerd out on the future and be eternal optimists. I love it.
I love it. Well, thank you again for sharing your time and your wisdom with us today.
Happy to, man. Thanks.
Thank you everyone for listening. Hope you have a great rest of the day.
Thanks for listening to the Up Arrow Podcast with William Harris. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.